Okay, so we talked about earlier a time signature, bar lines, final bar line, how measures work, and so on. So we're going to kind of put that together and now talk about how we count music, how we count rhythms specifically. That's what we're counting. Counting rhythms is very important, and it's something that's really important to me, especially if you're playing percussion instruments. Now, we're going to start with our time signature because that's important. We got to figure out what kind of rhythms we're going to do. So I'm going to do 4/4 time. Again, that's our most common time signature. Again, the top number tells us what type of note gets, the top number tells us how many beats per measure, which is 4 beats per measure. And the bottom number tells us what type of symbol gets 1 beat. And we know that in this case it's a 4, so that's the quarter note symbol. So I'll draw here, quarter note symbol equals 1 beat. And all the symbols around that are either half or double in that case, or we'll go over that in just a minute. So we have our time signature to start off, and then I'm going to draw our bar lines. I'm going to just do 1, 4. Now, on this last one, I'm going to make it a final bar line. Again, the final bar line is 2 lines with the second one being thicker. And that's the end of our piece, or end of our exercise. All right, so remember that we have to work on measure 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the distances between the bar lines that make a measure. And to make this easier, I'm going to make sure that we label our measures 1, 2, 3, and 4, so we know what measure we're talking about and where. That way, if you can't see, if you're in a music class or you're in a band class or orchestra class or choir, music appreciation, wherever that may be, you know where we're talking about in the music if everybody has their own music, and we can discuss from there what we're talking about. It's a way to communicate. It's lingo, right? Music is a new language. All right, so we're going to start with our quarter note. I'm going to draw my quarter notes on measure 1 the way we did earlier. And we're going to start from the beginning. I'm going to draw 2 quarter notes, okay? And then I'm going to draw a quarter rest. In fact, I'm going to draw 2 quarter rests. Now, normally, we would count this as 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we would, period. However, if we're going to write down the counts, we're going to make sure we only write down the counts when we're playing or performing sound, making sound, okay? I'm going to write the counts only 1 and 2. Now, we don't have to write 3 and 4. We just know they're there if we're paying attention. What we could do as well, if you wanted to, is make sure that we write the counts in parentheses. I'm going to draw it in black because they're not that important. They're not going to stand out. So I'm going to draw 3 and 4 in parentheses there. Now, the beats are still there. They're not gone. We don't stop the music. We only stop when we get to the final bar line. We just are quiet during these pulses. Now, if I were to tap my finger, you can hear that that's a pulse. All right, I'm going at a specific tempo. That's speed. Tempo is how fast you perform a piece. And the tempo can vary with different numbers per minute, like miles per hour. So we'll go over that another time. But here we have our counting. Now I'm going to tap with the rhythm that I have here for measure 1. And I'm only going to tap, or count rather, out loud when we have sound. And I'm going to remain quiet on the rest. For this first round, I'm going to say shush, shush, or rest, rest. 1, 2, shush, shush. Again. 1, 2, rest, rest. Let's try that again, measure 1. Now I'm going to say it without saying anything on the rest. 1, 2. Now again, the pulse was still going, but I was performing only these 2 quarter notes. Let's go to measure 2. It's blank, so let's add some stuff there. What counts would I write? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 as our options. We know that the rests look like a funky 3, and they're going to be silent. So we can either put a parentheses where the count lands on, or we can just skip it. I'm going to write them in parentheses just to make sure you understand. So I'm going to write in purple where my counts are for this measure. Beat 1. Notice I started at the beginning of the measure. I didn't start anywhere else. Here's beat 2. I'm going to skip it just for momentarily. I'm going to put 3 here, and this would be beat 4. So I'm going to put the rest in black, parentheses, to show you where the silence is. So if I were to perform these 2 measures, this is what it would sound like. Here's my tempo, and here we go. 1, 2, 1, 3, and that's it. There's more music to add. Let's just do measure 2. I'm talking about measure 2. Let's count that together. Ready and go. 1, 3. Now, if it helps you, we can say shush or rest when we get to a rest. Ready and go. 1, shh, 3, shh. Again. 1, rest. 3, rest. Let's try this time to not say anything on the rest. Ready and go. 1, 3. Now, if you're looking at this, you're probably saying in your head numbers 2 and 4. Over a measure 1, maybe 3 and 4 in your head, just not out loud. They're still there. They're still present. They're just something you feel when it's quiet, but the beat still continues. All right, so you say, Mr. Sutherland, what if I had a rest at beat 1 and 2, and then I drew only one quarter note, and then another rest? Is that possible? Well, of course it's possible. You can do anything like that, as long as you get a total of 4 beats in each measure. So where would I write the beats? Well, beat 1 is silent, beat 2 is silent. We know now to go to beat 3 to make a sound. Okay, so the other ones I'll put in parentheses. Well, how would you count that? Even to start off, it'd be funny, right? So let's try it. 1, 2, ready and go. 3. That sounds kind of weird because you should have started on beat 1 normally, like we have the first 2 measures. We didn't. So let's try it again. We can say shush on the rest or rest. We'll do it both ways. Ready and go. Rest, rest, 3, rest. Or let's say shush. Ready and go. Shush, shush, 3, shush. Let's try it without it. Only say it in your head, not out loud. Ready and go. 3, and there we go. Let's try these 3 measures. 1, 2, ready and go. 1, 2, shh, shh. 1, shh, 3, shh, 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 3, shh. Let's try it with the word rest. Ready and go. 1, 2, rest, rest. 1, rest. 3, rest, rest, rest. 3, rest. Notice that I said rest quietly because you want to maintain that it's silent there. Now let's try it without saying rest or shush. Only count the blacks, rests in your head. Ready and go. 1, 2, 1, 3, 3. Okay. Last measure. Let's change it up a bit. So we have, of course, other type of notes. We have a quarter note. We have the quarter rest. We also have half note, which in this case is just the note head with the stem. And this particular one is going to get 2 beats. And there's also a half rest. So a half rest and a half note both get 2 beats each. Just this one gets sound, the other one gets silence. So I'll show you what that looks like. I'm going to draw this in a different color. What color should I use? So I'm going to start it on beat 1 just to make it simpler. Half note. And I'm going to draw a half rest in pink. Just know that all the rests are always going to be in pink. Now a half rest has like a line and the little box hanging below. I'm sorry, I drew this completely wrong. No, that's a whole rest. It's a line with a box on top. That is a half rest. Please do not pay attention to this mistake I just made. That's why you should do this digitally, Alex. All right, so let's go with writing the counts. Well, in this case, the counts are going to be held for 2 beats. Rather than counting quarter notes each pulse, we're going to have to sing or play one sound and carry it for 2 beats. So what I would do is I would write 1 and I would just leave it alone. I know that this is going to last for 2 beats. Now, if you want to, I'm going to use the same color and put a parentheses 2 because we know there's a second beat there. We're just not going to say 2. Sustain it. Hold it for 2 beats. Now the rest is going to remain quiet. It's also going to be quiet for 2 beats. So I'm going to do what I did here in parentheses 3, 4, because that's the last part. So now we have a half note and a half rest. How would you count this? Well, I'm going to sustain the number 1 for 2 beats, and then I'll get quiet as soon as I get to beat 3 into the final bar line, because it's the last half of the measure. Ready? Go. 1, Try it again. Ready and go. 1. Notice I use the vowel sound to keep it as long. We always want to sustain a sound. If you're singing, the vowel sound. You don't ever want to sustain a consonant sound. Always the vowel. And we'll talk about that in your choir classes. So let's try this again. We can say shush on the rest. Ready and go. 1, shh. Or we can say rest. Ready and go. 1, rest. Now it's really funny to do that, so let's try it without saying anything on the rest. Ready and go. 1. And then we're done. Let's try the whole thing without saying the rest at all, only in your head, but only singing the notes and counting. Let's try from the beginning. Measure 1 to the end. 1, 2, ready and go. 1, 2, 1, 3, 3, 1. And that's it. That's it.